Welcome back, everyone. This is Ayad Boudiab, and we are proceeding with our Angular course. In this exercise, I'd like to take the work that we did in the previous videos a step further, and let's see how we can work with a loop construct, right? I mean, right now we have HTML, but then if we need to use any type of loop, we might use JavaScript, right? Well, in this case, let's see how we can use Angular to apply that concept in here without using direct JavaScript. So I'm going to start with a names array. I'll put that in ng init, and then I'm going to create a table, and then somehow through the looping I need to be able to add rows for those names in the table. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and then in the next step I will show you how we can do filtering, which is very powerful as well. Let's go ahead and get started with this one, and let's choose an ng init so we can put some names in there and we can work with them. As you can see in here, I have the data ng app, right? We can say simply ng app or data ng app like I showed you before. You can leave it by itself or you can say equal to empty. Either way, it's fine. But we may need to make sure that we bootstrap that, and we're doing this in here in the HTML on the top tag for the HTML tag. And then of course we just has a simple title, and then here we have in the body we're loading the angular.js from the scripts folder. We've done this before, nothing new here. Now I need to create a div where I can put my ng in it. So let's do that. Div, and then down here we close it. And then let's do an ng init in this div because I need to make sure that whatever I have in here is available throughout the div. Okay, so in here I'm doing the directive ng for Angular, and then init. It's as if I'm initializing in here, which I'm going to do that. I'm going to initialize a names array that contains a first name of let's say 5 or 6 people. So I will have ng init equals, closing the code, and then here I would say names equal, and in this case it's an array, so I'm going to be using the square brackets. Now in that array I'm going to add some names. Okay, let's say I have Mike, Lisa, James, and so on. So I have those names part of the names array, and I'm initializing that with ng init. Now if you recall from other programming languages, you might be thinking about scope, which is when such certain variable is available. Now since this ng init with names is inside the div, I'm going to be able to use this name in here within the div. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So inside the div, I'm going to create a table, and then I'm going to create a header, and I'm going to create a body. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a table here, and then down here close it, and then in that table I'm going to add a header. The header would contain the first name, so this is the arrow for the header. Let's fix that here. So I have the first name in the header. Now I need to put the table body. Okay, let's fix that in here. It should be table body, so T body, and down here we close the T body. So now I have a table with a table header and the table body. Now inside the table body I need to put all the names that you see here in the array. Okay, so that's the plan. Let's go inside the body, and then for this one I'm going to create a row. So here's tr, and then I'm going to close tr. Okay, now inside the row I'm going to place the actual td, which represent the column for the name. So /td. Okay, now I need to reference the names, right? So in here inside the row I'm going to use the directive ng repeat, which is pretty much that's what it means, right? I'm going to repeat over a list of items. Well, what am I repeating over? It's the list of names that I have in here in the array. So I can simply say inside the row, I can say ng and then repeat, and then I'll make equal that to name in names. As the name implies, I'm going to repeat for every name in the names. Name is like a variable. In the names array, for every one of those, I'm going to display the name. Remember when we used the curly braces twice? In this case, I'm going to display the name for every one of those names. I'm going to create this column. I'm going to repeat this. This I have in here a row, right? I'm going to repeat this row for every one of those names, and then I'm going to display only one column, which is the name of that person. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that, and then let's try to display that in Google Chrome. As you can see in here, one option is to be able to copy the path and place it in Google Chrome. And then as you can see, it says first name, which represents the first name that you see here, right? This is the header. And then inside the body, you're saying you're repeating over the names in the array, and you're displaying that name. So you end up with Mike, Lisa, James, Robert, Amanda, and Frank. So now, what did we accomplish in this exercise? We accomplished the fact that we can use ng repeat. ng repeat repeats over a list of items. In this case, it's an array. We could use different ways of initializing that array, but in this case, we simply used ng init to initialize an array of names. Since that's part of the div, those names are available within the div. I was able to repeat for every one of those names and display it in the row. Okay, now let's go ahead and move to the next exercise. In the next exercise, I'd like to talk about filtering a little bit, and we're going to use also ng init, but in this case, I'm going to initialize a little bit more of complex array that contains objects in it, and then we're going to use an ng model and see how we can filter over those elements. So let's move to the next exercise, and see it says in here data ng app equal nothing, and the title is applying a filter. So as you can see here, we're still using the same concept, nothing changed, and we're referencing the actual Angular script inside the body. Now for the array, I'm going to create array of objects. So let's go ahead and get started here. Inside the body, I'm going to create a div. And then for this div, I'm going to initialize an array that I'd like to use. So like we've done in the previous exercise, we'll say ng init equals, and then in here where I'm going to place my array. Now ng init, I'm going to place the objects. As you can see, it is every one of those is an object. Name Mike, age 20. Name Lisa, age 35. And the way you place objects within an array is by using the curly braces, right? So right now I have, this is one object, this is another object, and so on. You separate the objects like you do previously with comma. So you have all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objects within the array. Okay. Now, of course, I need to give that array a name. So I would say, for example, people equals that array. So now I have an ng init with a people's array that contains 6 objects. Every object has a name and an age. That's the div. Now inside the div here, I'm going to place an input box where the user can type something. So let's do input, and let's do type equals text, and then let's do, in here we will use the directive ng model, which represent the model of the data. Remember when we're talking about Angular, we said it's a Angular follows the MVC design pattern, which is the model view controller. So you'll be working with controllers. We'll be working with the views, which is the views are the HTML, and then we're working with models. Right now we have this input in here with type text, and I'm going, of course, models will be talking about them differently in the rest of the exercises and the lessons. But right now the ng model would be, let's give it a name and let's call it entry. So the user will be typing something in here in this input box, right? So I have an input box within the div. Now I'm going to create a table, and that table has a header for the first name and then a body. So I'm going to paste for you here some text. So I'm going to put table, and then here's the head, and then let's go ahead and close the table tag. So right now I have a table with a header that says first name, like we've done in the previous exercise. It's the same thing, but then the actual body of this table is the one that makes the difference. So I'm going to do tBody, and let's close that. In here we close the tBody tag. So now inside the body I'm going to put some information that apply to the filtering and so on. Let's put a tr for table row, and then here let's go ahead and close that. Okay, so now for that table row I'm going to use ng repeat, because I'm going to repeat over every one of those people in the array. And then I'm going to display some content in here. So inside the table row I'm going to put a td. Okay, so the td will contain some content. I'm going to fix that shortly, but let's look first at the table row and see what we're going to display in there. So I'm going to use the directive ng repeat, because again I'm repeating over a list of items, and in this case I'm repeating over the people's array to do something with it. So the ng repeat would say for each person in people, right? We just introduced the variable person. We're just saying for each one of those in the people array, right? I'm going to display some content over here. Okay, now what I'm going to display here is the following. I'm going to display first the person's name. Now remember, person is not a text by itself. Person in the people array is an object of its own, because the person will have a name and an age. So if I need to get the person's name, I'll have to say person.name. Agree? Because that's how we reference an object, an element within an object, using the dot operator. So I would say person.name. Okay, and then outside here I would say with age, and then do the double brackets again, and here I would say person.age. Okay, so far so good. I'm displaying for every person in the people, I'm displaying person's name and the age. Let's go ahead and save and see what we have so far. So I have a text box, and I have first name, and it says Mike with age 20, Lisa with age 35, and so on. So I'm displaying every one of those in the array. Well, we said this is similar to what we just did, right? I mean, there's nothing different. Where's the filter? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. So let's go ahead and apply the filter and see what we can do with it. One way to apply the filter is within here for the person's name, right? I can filter that and make it not simply filter, but just convert it to an uppercase, right? So the way you do this is using the pipe. So you use the pipe and you say uppercase, and this simply will convert that person's name to an uppercase, and we will look at those in the API. But for now, let's see what this one would do to our results. Let's go ahead and save. This is the license for the software. Let's go back here and reload this. And now you see that the first name is turned into an uppercase. Okay. Now, what else can we do as far as filtering is concerned? For every person in people, I'm going to apply a filter in here. So I'll use the pipe and I will say filter colon entry. What does that mean? Means filter by the entry. Well, what's entry? Entry is the ng model that you see here. What is that? That's an input box. So you're saying that I want to filter them based on the entry. So whatever I type here would be my actual filter for this array. So I'm not going to display everything. I'm going to display what's in the filter. Not only that, I can also pipe another filter to it, and I will say, in this case, order by, and I'm going to give it in quotes. The order by in here takes a quotes. So in quotes, I would say age. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter by the entry. So whatever the user type in the box, that will be the filter for my array, and I'm going to order them by age. You see how powerful that is? You just did a lot in here, just in a couple lines of code. So let's go back to the page and then see what we've done so far. So let's go back here, and then we have all the names uppercase. We've done this. This is when we filtered uppercase on the person's name. And then in here, let's say I have M's, right? Let me start typing M. So M, just simply by typing M, and it's not case sensitive, it only take Mike, James, and Amanda because they have M in them. And not only this, look how the age is ordered, 20, 25, 60, right? Because we said ordered by the age. MI, that only give me Mike. Remove the text, you get them all. Do L, you get Lisa, right? Do A, you get James, Lisa, Frank, and Amanda. And again, it's ordered by age, 25, 35, 39, and 60. It's all ordered. Now there's more to the filtering, so I'm going to cover that in the upcoming videos. We do more exercises as far as the date and so on. So we will talk about those and see how we can apply them. But to quickly wrap up, what we've done in here is we created, we used the directive ng init to initialize an array. We use the ng model to reference a specific input box, in this case being an entry. Entry is not a keyword or anything, it's just you can type anything in there. We reference that in the filter, so we can filter whatever the user has been typing in the text box. And also we applied the uppercase filter in this case to turn all the letters into uppercase. So this is how we can work with filters. And as you can see in here, we saw how we can work with ng repeat to go over the elements within a collection, in this case the names in a names array. Let's go ahead and move to the next exercise. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Ayad Boudiab, and you take care.